English as a second. Today's topic is race unity efforts on the New Paltz campus. How you doing?
Great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. What kind of events is coming up that we should know about on this campus?
Well, I can tell you about one event in particular that is going to be really exciting. It's called Amazing Grace. It's going to be held at the Studley Theater on April 16th. It's a Wednesday night, and it's going to be a free event.
Yeah.
That's very important. The focus of the event is really on race unity, and two women are going to be storytelling from slavery to present day. And their message is to take voices from different perspectives, the black and the white being the two most important. And these voices from the past are people who have worked through their issues on discrimination and started to view humanity with a new thought of looking at our oneness, looking at our commonality instead of looking at our differences all the time. Mm-hmm. And then developing into not just then incorporating looking at our differences as a sign of beauty.
Wow. So you think that this will have an impact on New Paltz students who comes to view?
I think the arts are very effective in touching parts of our being that aren't touched through academic presentations.
Right.
Because when we talk about race, I think we're really talking about domains of the heart. And, you know, of course the mind is very important, but if you start with the mind, I heard a very good quote that the longest journey is from the mind to the heart, and I think that's true. But if we start with the heart, I think it's easier to go from the heart to the mind. And the arts have always been good at reaching people's hearts and starting there and going up.
Right. I also understand that you're participating in the Academic Senate. Can you tell us about
the task force on cultural diversity? It's an Academic Senate task force that was formed, I guess, about a year and a half ago. I'm a new member, so I can't give you too much history on it. But it's a task force that is committed to... Do you want me to continue?
No. Yeah. Can you go?
Okay. It's an Academic Senate. The task force on diversity is committed to looking at the courses on our campus that view different perspectives from different peoples, different, gender, race, religion, ethnicity, to be sure that we have different perspectives out there, because without the differences of opinion, we can't find truth. Truth
Right.
is always found through, multiple views,
Right.
and that's what's been lacking quite a bit.
So, can you, we're going to get into the Baha'i Club.
Mm-hmm.
I understand you're the advisor of this. So, what does Baha'i stand for, or who's the founder of Baha'i?
Okay, sure. The Baha'i, it's a world religion. It is 153 years old, so it's quite young in religious history terms. It has about 5 to 6 million followers worldwide, and Encyclopedia Britannica said it's the second most widely spread religion after Christianity.
Yeah.
So it's in every country and independent territory. And its central teaching is the oneness of humanity. That's its pivotal teaching. Right. That really we're really one race. It's a human race. And when we talk about colors, we're really talking about just an added beauty to the human race.
So the primary concern of the Baha'is is to unify the humankind and race. Is it also to unify their mentalities, as in just their views on life?
Well, the goal of the Baha'i community has been the goal of poets and seers and religionists throughout the ages, which is this great age of world unity. And the Baha'is believe that this is not only possible, but it's inevitable. It's the next stage of the evolution of this planet. And we strongly feel that we all have to be in the forefront of that process. And the teachings of the founder of the Baha'i faith, those being equality of men and women, elimination of all forms of prejudice, religious, race, ethnicity, that these ideas are the tools by which we will come together as a people and be able to work together.
Right. So some of what you said is the reason why you were attracted to the Baha'is. But you had told me before that you had grew up in a Methodist. background, and so what allured you or what attracted you to this faith, other than was it the division, or was it what was it that really deterred you from being a Methodist?
Well, I never left Christianity. I really feel as a Baha'i that it's a fulfillment of my Christian roots, and that foundation is very much in place as a Baha'i. But it has helped me feel connected to all people, Muslims and Buddhists and Hindus and Jews and, other Zoroastrians, whatever, other people of faith, because it helped broaden my idea of God and the Creator, and to see religion as a civilizing process from the beginning of time, that it's an evolutionary process of God's plan, let's say, unfolding, and that He, God, she, he, it, whatever you want to term that, never leaves humanity without guidance. And Baha'is feel that this is the new guidance for today. But I left the Methodist Church because it was too narrow. I mean, what about my Muslim friends, and what about my Buddhist friends, and what about even my Catholic friends, never mind going outside of Christianity. But I felt like it was too marginalized. I felt too limited within.
Some people would say that race relations it'll always be the same. It will never change. That it has to be that way, because it has to be people on the bottom, it has to be people on top. Do you believe in that, or? That
thought, I feel, is the single most reason why there is a paralysis of will in our country. That this kind of pessimism that has paralyzed us as human beings to take initiative and to transform ourselves. I grew up in one of the most racist communities of this country, in the North Shore of Chicago, where Martin Luther King visited and said, he had never seen anything worse than the North, even though, we know what happened in Mississippi. And, I'm a product of that area. I grew up in a very racist family, a very racist community, school, everything. And I really feel like when we believe that we can transform ourselves, we can. And it takes effort, and it takes daily effort. And I think when we feel we've arrived, that's when we're furthest from it. But we can always change.
I'm coming from, let's say that I said that there's no such thing as that. There'll never be that way. There'll always be black against white. And because, and I will give you examples of Martin Luther King and different ones that tried to work within the system as a reform, and yet it's still the same, basically, or primarily the same. What would be your response to me?
First, I would say that there have been great changes made, and so not to discount those changes that have been made. But what's failed, I think, is that the changes have to be made in heart. They can't be legislated. We can't have laws that legislate love between people, or laws that legislate kindness between people, or respect. So it's fundamentally a spiritual disease. Racism is a spiritual disease, and because it's a spiritual disease, we have to find a spiritual solution to it.
So I was talking about a lot of people say the revolution. It's time for a revolution. It has to be a revolution, or else it'll stay the same. And you told me that there would be a spiritual revolution, or there should be a spiritual revolution. So how would that take place through common understanding of everybody, or how could that physically take place? Like what could you tell me?
Sure.
That way?
Okay, let's say that we lived in a school district that had as underlying principle, or let's say philosophy, was the oneness of humanity. And that school district constantly reinforced that through the teaching of history, science, the arts, literature. They touched on all people have made contributions, the beauty of those people, the necessary different perspectives and diversity, and that was a teaching that was brought, every day, school, home. What do you think would happen?
That's true. True.
I mean, that would be a revolution, wouldn't it?
So that is it's not really a major kind of, bloodshed, but it's just basically something that's subtle.
No bloodshed, no bloodshed, no.
But on that note, we're going to come back Studio One. I'm Jody Graham, your host, and this is
Kristen Krug.
Kristen Krug. We'll be back after these messages.
Don't you love that safe, free feeling you get in a pickup truck, Larry?
Yeah, nothing but you, me, the open road, a deer.
Yeah! The cow! Yeah! The ostrich! The village people! The village people?
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
Especially in pickup trucks.
I didn't know the village people were doing a road tour.
I don't know. Do you want to check them?
Yeah.
Okay. This side. Wait, no. Grab it by that side.
And do you know who this egg is going to be for? As soon as I'm done with it, I'm going to give it out to someone.
You want Mommy to get started for you?
Yeah.
Ooh, is that the right color?
If you don't stop someone from driving drunk,
Happy Easter.
who will? Do whatever.
It prevents the spread of HIV, the virus that causes AIDS, and may save your life.
Welcome back to Studio One. Today's issue is race unity efforts. And today's guest is Professor Krug. She's a professor of English as a second language. How you doing?
Great. Good to be back.
Yeah, we're back. So, what kind of things are the Baha'is doing nowadays in America?
Some of the projects that the Baha'is are involved in, actually one that I really is close to my heart was initiated by a 8-year-old child in North Carolina. And she went to her principal. I know Baha'is encouraged in matters of race unity. And she went to her principal and said, you know, I'm going to do a project calling all colors. And she organized in her school a whole day's event related to the beauty of the human family. Some of the ideas that kind of was spun off of was an idea that one, the earth is one country and humankind its citizens. And what does that mean? You know, where did the lines, why were lines drawn and by whom? And another idea that came out of that was the look of humanity as flowers of a garden, and that we're all different colors and hues and fragrances. And isn't that, you know, and they looked at what would happen if we were all the same and how boring and monotonous the garden would be. So that's one effort, and that has spread, and now other school districts are modeling it. Another effort is through the arts. A number of youth who started, they wanted to do something, and they were great dancers, great singers, you know, they like to act, they like to be on stage. But they wanted to do more than just dance. They wanted to convey messages. And so they put together dances around the theme of race unity, equality of men and women, other issues of discrimination. And through the dramatic arts, they do performances all over the country. And they're called Baha'i workshops.
Right. So you think this is a kind of a revolution within itself kind of thing?
Yeah, ideas spread. You know, ideas spread, and they're powerful. You know, our thoughts are a reality, so whatever we think is how we act. So if we can work to getting that idea across, that humanity, that there's one race, and the beauty of this human race is its diversity. We have to cherish it, we have to understand it, we have to share it. That thought is powerful. It will spread. People will, it touches a core of all of us, I think, you know, because we all feel connected. I want to feel connected to you. You know, I believe that we all want to feel connected to each other, and that they're just, our ignorance keeps us apart.
I mean, even if we look on this campus alone, you know, we have the BSU, then we have the Jewish club, then we have the fraternities and sororities, and it's all this division. It's like so many divisions within divisions. It's like, so it seems kind of impossible to kind of just stand back and look and say, is that really something that can be brought to reality? Is that whole notion of a oneness?
Yes, definitely. But, you know, the diversity has to be maintained. It has to be honored. It has to be respected. I think people from different backgrounds are afraid that somehow we're going to become this mishmash of humanity, where we lose our personality and we lose our culture. But the view that I have as a Baha'i, and that I certainly feel that people like mine are moving towards, is the maintenance and respect for our diversity, but a common vision. For example, the newspaper that came out, it was called United Press, I think it was a year ago.
Right.
The Oracle, the Fahari,
Right.
and they came, and Hermanos Latinos came
Right.
together. That was so wonderful. And those efforts can be done, more like them. I think students need to be encouraged. I think faculty members need to give directions to students to do more cooperatively, because I know everybody that read that paper loved it and wanted to know, when's the next issue, you know? Because, for example, my students come from all over the world, and they may not identify with the Fahari paper, or they may not identify with Hermanos Latinos. Or, you know, white students may not, or whatever. Blacks may not identify with us. But if we put them together, we have a paper, everyone can read it, they can hear the different voices, the different traditions, the different histories, and they can learn through that process. But if it's marginalized, we all lose.
So can you, first of all, can you foresee a world that will actually be as one? Can you foresee it?
I see it. I feel it. It's really the dawn of that world. The dawn of that world has taken place. I mean, look at history. You know, the fall of communism by and large. You know what it's done. You know, in our relationships between Russia, the international work towards women international conferences, the conferences in Rio on the environment, law, issues of law, international law. I mean, everything is coming together. The role of the United Nations is being questioned more because of the world coming together. You know, international language, de facto, English.
All right, so let's say that race relations got better, or race unity was, you know, at its peak or whatever. Do you think that will somehow abolish other problems like drugs, sex, crime? Do you think that somehow would affect or?
Absolutely. I think it is. I think racism is so key to solving of all of our problems related to education, crime, economics, everything comes back to that one important point of racism.
So America would be, in other words, a different country, so to speak, or?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think you know, I mean, think about it. If we could, unity, whenever things don't work, it's because we don't have unity, no matter what it is. You know, you can't go out with your friend without agreeing on something.
Sure.
So if we have unity, the potentialities that come from that are unlimitless. They're just, I don't think we even have a concept of what that could be like. You know, hydrogen and oxygen come together and they create water. You know, so what are the possibilities?
That's true. So what if all the groups came on this campus and came to you and said, what could we do? What should we do? We all want to do something special. We all want to kind of be unified. In what way? What common thing could you find that would unify everybody, every group or a sorority, fraternity on this campus? What's the one thing you would recommend that they do?
Well, wow, if that happened, I think that's already the solution, creating that possibility. I think, you know, there's a number of things, mostly, first of all, to talk about what we can do. And, you know, by doing it together, I think, you know, it's the process. The end is always going to be there, but the process is what's important. And what you just brought up is the process, people making the decision. I want to work together.
So on that note, Studio One will be right back after these messages.
The odds your child will touch the stars are out of this world. The chance she'll grow up a famous architect, somewhat more down to earth. But the chances are more than 1 in 4 your baby isn't fully protected against childhood diseases. Keep his baby shots on schedule. Ask your doctor at every visit. Give him the chance to be whatever he wants, even a rock star. Even if you're sure, ask again.
I hang out with a pretty trashy circle. The circle that helps this circle by recycling trash. We sort glass, plastic, separate cans, stack newspapers and magazines. Now, thanks to us, there are lots of products made from things we've already recycled. This cereal box wants your Sunday paper. These paper clips, in a more daring life, a 56 convertible. The circle works like this. It starts when we recycle trash at home and at work. It's completed when we buy products made from or packaged in recycled materials. How do you know the difference? Check the label for something called post-consumer recycled content. It looks like this. Make a mental note. Then buy the highest percentage of it you can find. You'll save a tree, you'll save energy, and in your own way, you'll help save the world. Complete the circle.
Call 1-800-CALL-EDF for your free Buy Recycled shopping guide. 1-800-CALL-EDF.
Today's topic is race unity efforts, and we're here with Professor Krug. She's a professor of English as a second language. How you doing?
Great.
We were talking about what kind of things is needed to take place in America for us to be as one, so to speak. And we talked about spiritual revolution, a mental revolution. But let's say within the Baha'is, you know, the Jewish person, he want to preserve his own culture, and a Christian person, he want to preserve his own culture, and African American, he want to preserve. How do you find a common link or thread, so to speak?
Okay, good. Well, I would say, first of all, we all have to have a common vision of where we're going. You know, if we don't know what our end is, I mean, I'm a teacher, and you have to know what objectives you have before you walk in class. You have to know where you want to be at the end of that class in order to get from where you are to that point. And I think, again, we need a vision, and that's what Baha'u'llah provides as a vision, which is what all great teachers provide, I think, is a vision. Martin Luther King provided that in you know, most recent history in this area of race unity. So if our vision is to find unity, then what happens is in the process of that, it's more important that you and I have unity together than who's right or who's wrong. And, you know, we share our perspectives, and we share it in that spirit, that's our goal. Our goal is to find unity. And, you know, you'll have different perspectives than I will. But if that's our goal, then we'll find a way there. We'll find a way. We may have to discard non-essential things, like, you know, form, for example. Let's say we're talking about prayer. Different people pray different ways. Fortunately, in the Baha'i faith, there's no ritual, so you can pray any way you want. But if it's an attachment to a form and it's keeping us separate, then I may have to discard forms that I was raised with, and you may have to discard someone that you were, because we want to, you know, we want to be able to have a relationship that grows. And
so is it kind of forgetting about difference or compromising, so to speak, or is it kind of like putting aside, like, okay, well, I got this difference, but she's still my sister, and you know, is it that kind of relationship, or how is it kind of smushed together, or is it kind of put aside? How do you work that?
You know, I guess how it happens is really through consultation, the process of consultation, the process of discussion. I think where discussions start to break down is when you don't have a common vision. For example, there was a really exciting film here last semester that the task force brought, the Task Force on Diversity that I mentioned earlier, called Skin Deep. Right. And that looked at, that brought college students together from all over the country to talk about their own experiences with discrimination. A very powerful film. And afterwards there was a discussion on the part of the audience, which primarily were students. And, you know, there was a lot of different opinions expressed on the part of whites and the part of blacks and the part of, I think mostly that dialogue got going. And what happens often in these situations when there's not a common vision of where are we taking this, what is our goal, what happens is it starts to stir up a lot of the stuff that we all have to deal with. You know, our family backgrounds, our histories, you know, our own personality quirks. And so if we don't have a common vision, then we can't find our way through that, you know, because we're always going to have struggles. And the Baha'is aren't Pollyanna about that. Struggle is an important part of civilization. but it's got to be a productive, a fruitful struggle. Yeah.
Well, I'll give you an example of Martin Luther King's movement, or about integration. They wanted, and that was the primary concern. That was the main focus. And as soon as that was accomplished, so to speak, it's kind of like the movement died. It was no more. Is we're going to see the same in this kind of movement where the movement is race relationships? You know, after that is abolished, or after the problem, we don't see the problem anymore. Do you think that that movement would just die, and then it has to, you know, spark up a new movement to, you know, arouse people's interest?
Well, I think what Martin Luther King did for this country was, again, to give us a vision. I think he was a very powerful speaker, and he created you know, you asked me earlier, can you see a united world? You know, can you picture it? And I think we're not willing to work hard or die for anything we can't believe in. And what is belief but an ability to see it, you know? And so I think what happened is when Martin Luther King was killed, is that vision that was a part of his life and his work slowly but surely became less clear. And so the effort didn't go forward. But I think with that vision, I mean, there's no limit to possibilities. I don't think there'll ever come a time when we say, okay, we finished that. You know, I mean, there's so many subtleties of diversity.
Well, I would like to thank you very much for being on our show, and I hope that, you know, did the meeting start yet, or I don't know anything about the meeting?
Yes, it started just barely.
Well, I hope that it's a good turnout, and I hope that listeners watching will get involved and try to make this campus a unified campus. This is Studio One. I'm Jody Graham, and I'll see you later.
My grandfather was born a slave, but both he and my grandmother went to college and became teachers. As you can imagine, the power of education was made very clear to me. So with the help of the College Fund, I attended a historically black university, which prepared me for graduate school and other future challenges, like being married to this guy.
College also prepared me for the future.
Tours overseas, 22 moves in 33 years, camera crews in our house.
And opportunities we couldn't have had without degrees. But thousands of deserving kids can't afford college. Without the College Fund, they'd miss the chance to become astronauts, doctors, Army officers, anything they imagine. But you can help them fulfill their potential.
Please join Colton and me in supporting the College Fund.
A mind is a terrible thing to waste. What do you mean, challenge?
Kids. For 1 hour a week, you leave your concrete world of flip phones and faxes and talk to 20 kids about how business works. They will question everything, but those 20 kids will talk to 20 more. So by Saturday, what you said on Thursday could be halfway around their world. You get to make a difference. Could just make the rest of your week pretty dull. That's the new JA, teaching kids how business works.
The male emperor penguin of Antarctica balances his unborn offspring on his feet for weeks in sub-zero temperatures. Then, after it hatches, he provides shelter for the chick in a fold of skin and feathers. If the father is unwilling or unable to do this, the chick will not survive. Just a reminder how important it is for fathers to spend time with their children.
Do you think you have the power to change the world?
I can change the world one child at a time.
I know I can make a difference in those children's lives.
I teach.
I teach. Yes, they're teachers, but to the kids they reach, they're heroes.
I teach.
Do you have the power to wake up young minds, to be someone's hero? Teach. To make an impact on our future, call 1-800-45-TEACH. Be a teacher. Be a hero.
It's over. I'm Brutus. Okay. Alright, good. Alright. There's no heart. There's no heart!
Let's put that at the end.